Hello Artcadets, welcome to my art channel and to my quick tips video, which this week is looking at pencil grades. So I've also got a few gems of information you may not have known about pencils, as well as a few tips on how you can make the most of the pencils you have at home. So for this video I'm going to be using this 12 set of Faber-Castell pencils, which come in this neat little tin, and when you open it up they all look pretty much the same. But then when you look more closely at the end of each pencil, they've got a number or a letter or both. So what do those numbers and letters mean? Well, I'm going to start off with the letters. So you've probably heard of an HB pencil. That's the sort of pencil you've probably used at school or you'll have lying around at home. And the letters HB stand for hard black. So this sort of pencil is good for writing and for sketching. It's got a darkish line, but it stays sharp and there's not much smudginess. It's not too hard either, so it's not scratchy. So no surprise then that the H pencil stands for hard and the B in a B pencil stands for black. So this letter will show you whether it's a hard or a soft pencil. There's also an F in my pencil set, and this F stands for fine. An F pencil will be really good to sharpen to a fine point for sketching and detail. And you'll see where it falls on the grading of the rest of the pencils in just a moment. So now let's look at the number. To understand the number, it's useful to know how a pencil's made. So a pencil usually has a wooden outside, a shell to it, and then you've got the core in the middle. So this core is made up of graphite and another ingredient, clay. So the mark the pencil makes depends on the blend of these two products. So the more clay there is, the harder and lighter a pencil will be, and the more graphite there is, the darker and softer a pencil will be. And the bigger the number means the harder or softer that pencil is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shade in each of these little 12 boxes, one for each of my 12 pencils, and I'm going to try and use the same pressure for each pencil, and that way you'll get to see how soft or hard these pencils are and the mark that you get on the paper. So you can see then the 8B is darker or softer than the 5B, for example. And these pencils can be used for different things. So there are certain advantages and disadvantages to each of these types of pencils. So if we take the H pencils first, they are good because they are harder, they stay sharper longer so you don't waste as much, and they can really get into the tooth of the paper so you can get a really even coverage. But if you press too hard on them to get a darker mark, you can make grooves in your paper which you might not want. The B pencils, on the other hand, have got a broader range, so you can get a really dark tone with them, depending on how much you push down on them. But because they're softer, they do need more sharpening, and they can be smudgy, which you might want if you want to cover larger areas, but if you don't want that, that can be a bit annoying too. So depending on what you want your pencil for, you can choose which grade you want. So as we've said, the higher the number, the softer or harder the pencil is. So for these soft pencils, you might want to use them for shading because they smudge well and they're quite dark. For the H pencils, they're very light, so they're good for sketching or laying out a sketch before you colour it in. But not all artists use all of these pencils. and artists will have a favourite depending on what they want to draw. And we are looking at applying an even amount of pressure for each pencil. So there's goods and bads of the H pencils and the B pencils. But what if you don't have a full set of pencils? Well, that's okay, because what you can do is you can vary the pressure that you apply on your pencil. In our example, we use the same pressure on each of the different grades of pencil to produce the different tones. But I'm going to show you how just with an HB pencil you can get a whole range of tones with just changing the pressure that you apply. So within each pencil in this set you can change the tone that comes down onto the paper just by applying different pressure. So either you hold the pencil lightly and don't press too much to get a light shade, or you hold it closer to the tip and press down harder to get a darker shade. Obviously each pencil will have its limits, so an H pencil will only go so dark and a B pencil will only go so light. But an HB pencil is a good all-round pencil, and it's certainly a good place to start when you're just beginning pencil and sketching. And it's good to practice with because they're not very expensive. So one thing to think about with pencil is that pencil can be quite shiny. Graphite is shiny naturally. But if you want to reduce the amount of shine you get, then you can layer your pencil. So we don't always want a shiny looking pencil mark. So by doing lots of light layers you can build up the darkness of that pencil. It does take a little bit longer, but if you get a good result then it's worth putting in that time. The other thing to say is that if you apply too much pressure to your paper, you do end up flattening the tooth of the paper. That's how bumpy or smooth the paper is. And when you flatten the tooth of the paper and you press really hard, you're more likely to get that shiny sort of look to your pencil. So by applying lots of layers you can avoid this. And also the result that you get will depend on the type of paper you're using, but that's a topic for another video and we're not going to go into that today. So do you need a whole range of pencils? Well, as I said before, most artists don't use a whole range of pencils. They'll have their favourites, depending on what they want to draw. So I would say try out with what you've got first, decide what you like, and depending on what you like to draw, you can then build up your collection if you need to or want to. But of course, as we've shown here in this little part of the video, by applying more pressure or pressing harder on your paper, you can actually get a really nice dark tone with just an HB pencil. So we've got a happy little pencil. So let me know what you think about this video, what you think about pencils, which is your favourite. And we're going to be using these hints and tips on our Friday Artcadets video, so join me then. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!